Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So far we have seen the hijab with respect to the wives of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We have seen the hijab vis-a-vis the average woman, and we saw the importance of comparing and contrasting, right? To understand things, we have to understand things in their context. So you're in a society where there are the wives of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, complete 100% segregation. Normal Muslim women, loose, wide clothes, possibly exposing face and hands, possibly covered. And then we have elderly women. How is that even different? How is it even different? If the Prophet ﷺ said when she reaches puberty, obviously an elderly woman has reached puberty, so how is it any different? Let's look at it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in respect to elderly women, and old women who have no hopes of marriage. Okay? And we remind ourselves that the word nikah in Arabic means intercourse, right? It means this woman is past all of that. Nobody would ever look at her in any sexual way whatsoever, nor is she at all interested in that kind of stuff, right? That's what we're talking about. So we're not talking about, say, oh, I'm old, I'm not 16 anymore. That's not old, okay? Old is really, really old. That's what it means, right? We're talking about 90, something like that. Someone like this woman, nobody would ever look at her in any sexual way, nor does she even function in that way anymore, right? That's the idea, the qaida, right? So it says there is no sin for her. There is no sin for them. If they take off their clothes, as long as they do not show off any beautification. So what does it mean that they take off their clothes? Now, it's a bit weird, isn't it? What does that even mean? Right? And so who are we talking about? We're talking about somebody who has no sexual desire and not attractive at all. She covers, what it means, it doesn't literally take all her clothes off. It means she covers everything except her face and hands. And it means she's not obliged to wear a khimar and jilbab, but she cannot show off any beauty. Okay, so how is that any different to a normal Muslim woman, right? A normal Muslim woman, she goes out wearing makeup with a hijab and tight clothes, right? The clothes are tight. That's a normal, average Muslim woman, unfortunately, wears tight clothes. You can see her form. The average Muslim woman wears makeup. The average Muslim woman applies hijab, meaning cover my head and neck. So, what does this even mean then? How is this even a dispensation? Right? This is the whole point of, we said we need to compare, see things in contrast. So if the average Muslim woman, if an elderly woman who is super old, she's not an attraction to anybody, she can take off her clothes, meaning she still has to cover everything other than face and hands. And on the proviso, she doesn't show off any beautification. What does that tell us about the average Muslim woman? Right? For the average Muslim woman who has a sexual desire and is by default attractive, right? And don't, again, assume naivety. Nobody finds me attractive. Okay, maybe. And certain people don't find you attractive, but there's a lot of people who find you attractive. You're still in the category of adult female. You cover everything except face and hands, that's the same. So therefore, if an older woman is not obliged and she's allowed to not wear the niqab, therefore, wear khimar and jilbab, therefore a normal Muslim woman is required to. And if an older woman is told, don't show off any beauty, then what about a younger woman? Right? So we have to read the Quran and we have to understand the Quran. Right? Because otherwise this verse is pointless. If we apply this verse to the average to hijab as it is known today, makeup, tight clothes, just covering the neck and just covering the body and the neck and hair, that's what hijab is, then there's no point in this verse. What dispensation is being given? What it means is the average Muslim woman is wearing many layers, covering very loose, okay, and she's wearing a khimar, she's wearing a jilbab, she's wearing something like that, okay, and the old woman saying, okay, chill out, lady, it's okay, you don't have to do that, right? Otherwise, what is it that the old woman can take off that the younger woman is actually wearing? What is it that has changed? Nothing, right? So the old and old women who have no hopes of marriage, there is no sin for them if they take off their clothes, as long as they do not show off any beautification. What does this mean in respect to a woman's hijab? It means that, sister, you cannot wear makeup. Sister, you cannot expose your beauty. Sister, you're not super old, therefore you have to wear a jilbab, you have to wear a khimar, you have to wear something loose. It doesn't have to be called technically this or technically that. The point is it should be super loose, that you cannot see your form, right? And sister, you're not in this category of an old woman who has no hopes of marriage. You're still in that category, right? And so we have to understand that. As men and as women, we have to understand that, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran, and do not take Allah's signs, His ayat, His verses of the Quran as a joke, seeing them as meaningless or pointless. Don't do that, right? So we have seen the hijab of the mother of believers, complete segregation. We've seen the hijab of the average Muslim women, no beauty being shown, loose, wide, in khimar, jilbab, or whatever modern thing. And we've compared that then to elderly women. We're now going to go on to bondswomen. Inshallah, I'm going to go on to that now. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.